Welcome back to another episode of WittyBantr. Your hosts Anika and Nabil are here. We're missing a Daniel Rana, but he's somewhere around here. 5 minutes past the hour. Back on the program.
Oh, did we? Have
What?
we broken a thing of starting on time?
No, I'm sure we haven't started on time in the past.
So how are things today? Tomorrow is Columbus Day, and I have someone asking me, one of my students asking, do we have the day off? And I think it's interesting that we dedicate certain days. Of course, we don't have, in public institutions, we do not have Columbus Day, and most people are using this day to celebrate Indigenous Day. But so the question arises, when you're celebrating a day, is it better to celebrate by doing something or not doing something, to do or not to do?
I mean, if you don't do anything, you're probably not celebrating the holiday, right?
Yeah, as in, but you get the day off.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want, I guess.
You can do it. So is a celebration like, for example, any day that we get off from school or from work, which is a standard, a 4th of July celebration, let's put it that way. Or what are some other celebrations that you have always taken off from?
New Year's.
I guess I take these off, but I don't celebrate them. Like, I don't believe in any of the things that are going on.
So days are random, and we could.
This is just what society has chosen to pick as days off, and so
Like Christmas Day.
it's a day I don't have to go to work if I worked.
Yes.
But the day itself and the meanings behind it don't mean anything to me.
But we were discussing this, was it last week or the week before? I don't remember when, but the concept of history and how sometimes we consider history not worth looking back at, and other times we say we look at trends based on history. So if we don't have those days, say we didn't have a Columbus Day or Indigenous Day or a 4th of July, would we be oblivious to behaviors of the past? Or do they remind us?
I don't think you need a day to remember that. I think, there's a lot of things that then you could mark as a day, right?
What would you consider? I mean, then there's also this whole mentality of work is, rest is more joyful than work. And you've talked about how if you're passionately involved in the work that you're doing, that can give you a lot more pleasure than sitting doing nothing. But it's kind of worth considering. So you get a day off because something happened.
Yeah.
Should you continue having that day off? Or should you celebrate by working extra hard? What if you said, well, I get a lot of pleasure out of my work, therefore I will put in 14 hours versus 12, or 8 hours, or 12 hours versus 8 hours.
Yeah.
I think if you truly enjoyed your work, then you probably wouldn't enjoy days off, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So if the reason we enjoy days off so much is because we are in a maybe stressful situation, or maybe not stressful situation, but not like we're not very passionate about our work. We
should have a day or a week or something where it's like the days off for people who are in a job. Well, it should be for everyone, but the people who are in jobs that they don't necessarily enjoy, spend that time to
be with family,
reinvent themselves. No, not spend time with family. Like work towards what they would be passionate about, but maybe they don't have enough time with their work schedule.
I mean, if you look at historically, you look at days that are celebrated, days of celebration, and far and large, the days are usually the days of religious recognition, but more recently with nation states and so on, historical events that are relevant to those nation states are the days of celebration. When the concept of nation states, when Columbus Day which is now kind of phasing out because people are realizing it's really not celebratory to the beginning of colonization and the end of a large race, or a large group of people. Do you think that with this concept of nationhood, the concept of celebratory days will change?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be. I think these kind of holidays should be brought about like privately with the company that you work with. So like if your company has certain milestones that mean something to their company's history, then like those are the days that you would take off because they deemed it so.
What if you don't have any milestones in your company?
Then that's just the nature of your company. Then you guys don't do that.
So you think companies will take over where nations leave off?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
We haven't given it enough thought to be able to make statements about it.
Well, in regards to holidays, maybe. I don't know if that'll happen. I'm just saying that's how I think that's a good way of going about it.
I mean, even when you think of religious days in a multicultural society where everyone has a slightly different day of religious celebration, we're not a homogenous society where you'd say everyone will take this day off because this day is extremely important to them. You have, mine is another day. I mean, mine and I have a slightly different day. Or maybe I have a whole week.
For me, the point I was trying to get to, I guess, is how relevant some of these holidays are. It's like, to me, any one of these what are considered public holidays, I guess they're sanctioned by the government.
Right.
They have no relevance to me. So the reason I suggested that the companies would take over with that is because that would be more relevant. If a company had some set holidays and they were related to things that they cared about or something, then at least it's more relevant to me because I work for the company and theoretically I,
what
work with these people.
What will happen when the companies get dissolved? When there is this concept of companies is fairly new in human history.
Mm-hmm.
What when the concept of companies is changed, evolves?
Are you asking what's going to happen to these holidays or what's going to happen in the grand scheme of
I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of...
Well, I would imagine...
I'm bantering around.
Okay.
I'm wittily bantering from one idea to the next until one of you says, forget this, let's let's pivot to Breaking Bad and the El Camino
we'll
story.
Save that. But, what would come after companies? So I guess what is a company? How would we define it? It's a legal entity, but it's a group of individuals who participate in some sort of trading of goods and services. And so and before that it would have been, you would have just had kind of absolute rulers where that kind of stuff would happen, but it's under some king or something that owns it. So the ownership, it's a way to organize the ownership of a group of people and the activities that they do. I mean, I think the company as it exists today is not bad compared to like...
Well, some would argue that the companies, especially the mega companies, are like nation states, and they are taking over people's lives, and they are exploiting like countries or governments have done.
Yeah.
And so they have replaced, in both positive and negative ways, a structure in which people find themselves because they need to make money, because they need to survive for most, unless they totally disassociate themselves. Now, it is interesting that those who disassociate themselves from those structures that are understood by the majority tend to be criticized for disassociating themselves.
What do you mean? Who are these people? Are you talking about people who live off the grid?
Yes, people who live off the grid. Are they not considered? Are they not usually criticized by majority the majority of the
Yeah,
population that
maybe.
they-
Why would they be criticized?
why
They don't want to participate in this. That's fine.
but they're not considered. Their rationality sometimes is questioned of why do they live off the grid? Why do they not participate fully in society?
Do you know some of these reasonings? Because I don't.
Well, I don't know the reasonings. I know that if, for example, I packed up and said, I'm leaving everything and going to go and hunt and grow
Berries.
and live off berries, yes, and wear, whatever, grow my own cotton or whatever, everything I do, I will do without the technology, without the systems that have been set up for me, and I will disassociate myself and have nothing to do with political, people who are politics or communal living kind of, or maybe I will go in a community to disassociate myself from the larger grid. I'm sure you would look at me and think, what's happening, Mom? Why are
it
you
would be
doing
strange.
this? Would you commend me for it? Would you think, wow, she's a risk taker, or would you say, what the heck is going on?
Well, my first reaction would be like, that's weird, because it's very different from
me,
from
Anika.
who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the point of accepting it and realizing it as a real thing, then I would say, all right, well, then that's the life she wants to live. Then so be it.
What would you think?
It would neither be positive nor negative for me. It would just be a neutral thing.
Daniel, what would your reaction be if I just...
Yeah, I would say this is pretty much the same thing. Like, it would be irregular from your normal behavior. But I think you're right. When people do activities outside of, I guess, the norm of society, then they are sort of looked on like, what are you doing? Because at least in the US, you have to have some financial security. You can't, you could live off the grid, but it's like, okay, how are you going to buy this land and all that?
People who say, I don't want to pay the taxes because the government is taking from me money that is mine and I want to use it the way I want to use it. Think of any norm that you think, any extreme norm, any extreme breakaway from a norm that others might look at you in a questioning way of, like, for example, if someone suggests that they're going to be a vegan and everybody goes, what, really? Why? What's wrong with... Now, of course, it's becoming more of a norm to be a vegan, but 10, 15 years ago, it was not considered the norm. And you'd say, why? What's wrong with eating animal products?
Me not wanting to go take my business to restaurants that have tipping.
Yes.
For me, it's like, that means if they have tipping, that means that they're probably paying them like $5 an hour or something, and then they have to make it up through tips. So my way of fighting that is don't participate in the... First it was don't tip, but then it's like, for me, it's just uncomfortable, especially like that one time when I got called out for it.
Yeah.
And it's just a negative experience. So then I'm like, you know what, I won't participate with this industry and community of people. So that's one thing that people might look at. What, what's the wrong with going to a restaurant and tipping and stuff?
Restaurants are fairly new in human history as well. Particularly if you consider the ease with which you can really cook and the ease with which food is available now, when people do, when they support the restaurant business, it's interesting where you've decided to put value to something like someone else cooking and serving you when you could have that same food at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. I think people are just not interested in cooking for themselves. It's an ease of use type thing.
Even though food is so easily processed now, it's not like
Like by someone, like processed as in like I can cook it easily.
Yes, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
I think it's when you work 9 to 5 and you're working Monday through Friday, you're not building up those skills that you traditionally would.
There is a
if
small.
you didn't have that where you cook, and then when you do get the free time, you don't want to spend it cooking because it takes time from the limited free time
But
you
I
have.
feel also that there are a lot of people who are not necessarily employed, and they still choose. There's a pride in
Eating
the
out.
concept of eating.
I think it's more of so there is a small learning curve to being able to cook meals that also are like
Taste
rich
good.
and tasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is like, and if you tried cooking once and you messed it up, that could be a big deterring factor in whether or not you continue to at least try.
Right.
So I bet that's a big factor in it as well, on why people choose restaurant. Because like, oh yeah, I tried cooking and it wasn't.
It took me an hour to cut.
I wasted all that
Yeah.
money and whatever.
Right. Yeah.
What was the original point? Something about the people who live off the grid and
Yes.
what society would think of them. Yeah.
Even the
I like-
tiny home aspect
Okay.
is
So
probably.
maybe we can now pivot to somebody that we have just kind of the movie that we just saw the other day. Basically, he's going to be off the grid, so to speak.
Yeah, but for other
Oh,
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
his
there'll be-
makes sense.
There will
like-
be other reasons, but
Yeah.
what's his story and how common is it, and how many times do people need to redo their lives? And his was pretty early on in life. Do you need to switch to restart? How often is that people need to do that? And what are your thoughts of him restarting? So now, say you met, what was his name again, the main character?
Jesse Pinkman.
Maybe you met Jesse. You were, on vacation in Alaska, and you met Jesse, and you had no idea about his past. Would it make any difference to you that he had the past that he had? And can you press the restart button?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be associated with someone who's participated in illegal activities. Not because, I mean, if you were just cooking meth, I don't care that you cook meth. I don't want to be associated with. I don't want to get involved in anything.
Or appear to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not trying to. You're gonna ruin my life, basically.
Yeah.
So for
Yes.
that reason, if I figured out about this person's past, I would. Yeah, it would matter. I would not want to be associated with them.
But what about the whole concept of people rethinking life? They do something really terrible, and then they think, you know what, that was terrible.
Yeah, I think people only hit the reset button if something traumatic happens in their life. I don't think it generally happens just because you want to reinvent yourself, although that could happen as well. It's either, you go through a divorce and you want to restart your life, so you move to another area, or you go through, I don't know, breakup, or if you lose your job, if you go bankrupt and you want to restart, you maybe go to another area.
So list
I
for
don't think
me,
it's-
what did Jesse do? What are the things which you would say? So he has a meth lab. Okay, then go from there. He killed people
I think so.
without any compunction. That was kind of without any regret. Did he kill people?
No, he never killed someone and not regretted it.
Yeah, I think he did not want to.
He did
kill
not want to
people.
do it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
he did
I
not
think that
really
was
want
clear.
to kill people.
And even that scene where he had that shootout, he didn't want to kill the other 3 people that were there.
But that was also related to his what do you call it when you
Torture?
tear someone down mentally?
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, but it's like when you
extreme.
yeah, there's another word, but it's when you can tear someone down where they're like a slave to you mentally.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's similar to it's happened in some other show.
Oh, I
or
wasn't even
movie.
thinking of that guy. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, you're talking about the cops, right?
Oh, what about the
No,
show
the-
we were
the-
watching yesterday? The one about the spy.
like in the warehouse, the welding warehouse. He didn't want to kill the other 3 people. But when he didn't want to kill that one person, it was because he was like a slave, pretty much, and he had nothing else to live for. But
Yeah. Are you talking about the cops? I don't know what you're talking about.
it wasn't the cops; it was those
3
druggies.
people.
Well, anytime he wanted to kill someone in the movie, I think it was relating it to his, the way he was torn down.
Yeah. I also think
it
he
reminds
had
me
to.
of Reek. That's who it reminds me of.
Yeah.
That same mentality. Do you remember Reek from Game of Thrones?
Oh yes,
The
yes,
Greyjoy
yes,
kid.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
he didn't want to go with. He didn't want to disobey his
Yes.
master,
Yes.
even though that was for his betterment. But it's because he was mentally like a slave to him. But
So do you feel there's an appeal to this extreme breakdown of a character that do you feel that it is possible? Do you think it is probable? Do you think that that is a reason why people commit heinous crimes? That they are so broken down. And then, so if you are in a situation where you are so broken down that you now think, you reach a realization that, oh my goodness, I was not in control of myself, and now I want to reinvent myself where I will have control over myself. And I don't want people to know that there was a time when I did not know what I was doing and I did this terrible thing.
So you lost me. What's the question?
The question was, is it possible that
Is it possible
for a human being
to do something bad
to do something
as a
so
result
terrible,
of them being like
under
broken down?
control, yes, and then have a need to so
I mean,
for
I don't
example,
think-
in the spy movie we're watching,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. He's killing people.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically thrown someone off, the 5th story, and this is based on true events.
I think
I don't know how much that is true.
there's a rapper, Kendrick Lamar, who kind of talks about that in his rap songs, where there were robberies he did that he didn't want to do. His whole thing was good kid, mad city, which is basically, he knew he was a good kid, but the environment he was in didn't allow him to act the way he wanted to, because his peer pressure from friends, he didn't have a father. There's no office jobs in the ghetto. There's pretty much just liquor store, drugstores. So if you do want to get a job, you're getting paid minimum wage, and that's not enough to survive. So yeah, I think there is definitely people who are in situations that they don't want to be, but I guess they have to, like, do illegal activities. I mean, they could get by. Well, actually, they couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know if also the breaking down mentally had to do with them doing torturous things, because, or in Jesse Pinkman's case, it wasn't so like him being broken down, like wasn't making him do bad things. It was just preventing him from from freedom.
Okay, so kind of I'm taking the conversation down this path, but what is your reaction? And Daniel had a strong, he really appreciated the movie more than we did. What was it about the movie that really resonated with you, and you thought this was not bad, and because you were analyzing the readers, the listeners, the viewers, and then your perspective. Tell me about your reaction to it. Did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was just like a.
What made it good? That's my question.
It was an epilogue to Breaking Bad. So, in Breaking Bad, we already knew Jesse Pinkman had a troubled past. Both his girlfriends had been killed. One was due to drugs, and the other one was shot in front of his face. One of his only good friends was killed in front of him, and that was like a toddler. So we had seen this character pretty much broken down throughout the entire season, and there was no. We didn't get the satisfaction of what?
One of his good friends was a toddler.
Or yeah, he was like like a small kid, or not
A
toddler,
good friend
but
since he was a small kid.
no, he was literally, or he wasn't a toddler. He was maybe like 10 years old.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So he had all these traumatic events happen to him throughout the whole season. There was no moment in the show where he had his like, finally things are getting better. It was just gradually going down. And the only time you got a glimpse of that was at the end of the season, where he's driving away and he's finally happy that he's sad, but he's also a little bit happy that he's escaped the chaos of his life.
So do you think
So
he has
for
escaped? Do you think he really has escaped?
Yeah, I think at the very last scene, spoiler alert.
Well, everyone's seen it.
When he finally gets out of, into Alaska, he does kind of smirk at the end as he's driving, and that's kind of like the moment. Okay, finally Jesse Pinkman gets a happy ending that we haven't had throughout the entire series of the show.
Do we have to have a happy ending?
I don't think all his problems
I
are
don't think-
solved, by the way. Like,
You still can have post-traumatic.
no, not even that. But like when he had free time to do stuff, he would just like waste it by like doing drugs and stuff
You
like
think
that.
he'll go back to it? He'll revert to that?
What is he gonna
way?
do?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he has money, but he'll still need a job eventually, right? He has like what, a couple $100,000. I mean, if he's really frugal, he might be able to
Yeah.
last a long time. But
Yeah, that's true. He could delve back into doing drugs and end up killing himself at some point. But at least the ending we saw was happy.
So my question is, do we need a happy ending?
No, I don't think we do.
it wasn't even it wasn't even a happy ending.
Yeah.
It was more of like a relief,
Exactly.
like a
Yes,
sigh
yes.
of relief kind
Yes.
of ending.
Do we need relief in life? Yes, we do. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we break down. Otherwise, we have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm okay. But movies don't have to be relief or happy.
Or even shows, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more real that way.
It's
Yeah,
more real if it's not.
yeah.
And that was kind of the interest in the show in the first place, is that, like, you keep thinking throughout the show, like, oh, he's going to, get back at these guys. But nope, someone else close to him dies and another person dies. So it's more realistic that way. So that's
And he's
kind
still-
of why I enjoyed it. I don't know why Nabil enjoyed it, but
I don't know. I don't know why I enjoyed it. It had some action in it. It was about money and shooting, and there was cops. There's a lot of action. So,
Yeah.
and as far as the story is concerned, I mean, it was the same Jesse Pinkman that we were used to in Breaking Bad. So there was I wasn't interested because of the story necessarily.
right.
The side character was amusing. The one who kept on saying, you can use this deodorant or that deodorant. That was a kind of cute scene.
Which one?
The one where his friend is telling him to have a shower.
Oh.
And
then he's
he
like,
goes, you can use this deodorant, I can Axe, and I've got this one, and I got, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
he gives him the money, and he says, and he goes, why are you doing this? And he goes, because you're my hero. Now that is interesting. For that man, he was a hero. What made him the hero for that man?
Maybe because he accomplished a lot,
Yeah.
and then that guy wanted to accomplish a lot too.
Or
Even though
he
they're all
had
meth
defied
users.
the powers. He had
I don't think he's that deep of a guy. I think it
Yeah.
was really like
he made money.
like, whoa, this guy was next to. He worked.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
Heisenberg's right
Yeah.
hand man, kind of thing. I think it
this
was
guy
more.
made himself because he was, a
I
meth
felt
user.
so bad for his parents. I
Oh.
thought, oh my goodness, they're saying, come on, turn yourself in. They were so unfortunately pathetic in the sense that they thought he was going to give himself in, he was going to come to them, and then everything would be all right.
Although-
And nothing, he came and stole from them.
So that whole dynamic was brought in Breaking Bad as well. The parents were, I mean, definitely Jesse shouldn't have, started dealing meth and stuff. But from my understanding, I think they were pretty manipulative, and also
Were they?
didn't, like in his younger days. I think that was the reason he left the
was
house
it?
in the first place.
In what way? Because I don't even remember.
I can't remember, but I do remember there were like
They were not nice parents.
they weren't nice people, and I think that was part of the reason he didn't feel bad about stealing their house in the first place. Like he stole their house from them.
Oh, he didn't steal it. He he bought it.
He bought it, but like Saul Goodman did the transaction.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Oh, I know that you guys had a meth lab at one point in this house.
Oh,
It would be a
okay. So
shame
there's
if other people knew about
gotcha.
it." So then he bought it at like a very big discount.
Mm.
But I don't think the parents were that great. But I don't think, I mean, obviously Jesse isn't that great of a person either.
So I guess it's not about the greatness of people. It's just about, I don't know, the people, the norm.
Mm-hmm.
It just, this is how people are. All the dirty underlying characteristics of the. I mean, there was a little bit of tenderness in the scenes where he's
Having
concerned
flashbacks
about the
or-
10-year-old or remembers his girlfriend. But there's really not a lot to redeem him.
Yeah, no, there's no redeeming qualities of Jesse Pinkman in the traditional sense.
Even though for the what's his name, the teacher, forget the character's name, the one
Walter White.
Yeah, Walter White. Walter White had redeeming
Yeah.
characteristics. Correct? And that's why
I
he was
guess.
sacrificed in the end.
I think they both had redeeming qualities, which
What?
is why.
What were they?
So for Jesse, it was more. Even though he was doing bad things, and same with Walter White, they were killing people, they were dealing drugs. Jesse was, I think, more concerned about other humans' situation
And
than Walter White was.
And how was that demonstrated? When was he concerned about another human?
So the second girlfriend was in a financial situation that wasn't ideal, if I remember correctly, and he wanted to help her.
Okay.
Whereas Walter White, he had his whole family, and he pretty much distanced himself to just work and start a drug pin, even though they were in a financially good situation. So I think they both had qualities that were not very redeeming and were
So they barely had redeeming qualities.
yeah.
They were on the edge of society.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, even Walter White, if you think about it, his whole situation could have ended in the first episode when the guy offered him a job that would give him health insurance that would
pay for his
cancer, but he was so arrogant that he didn't even want to do that because he had built that company himself and left later because he disagreed with the board members. But we also sympathized with him because, I mean, everyone wants to do things themselves, I guess. But yeah, even that whole situation, the whole show could have ended in the first episode if he just accepted the job, got the health insurance, got his chemo.
So you really can't live on the edge of society. You can't exist. It's a very risky life
I'm sure.
to live on the edge.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so it's better to live. Is it better to live in the center, or is it better to live at a safe distance from the center? Because then on the other side, you have those people who lead. And if you think of it as a circle of community, for want of a better image, and then you have people who are on the border who can disappear or who can die. And then you have people who are in the middle who are elevated, but they also can face dangers because they're putting themselves at, they are, even if they're doing good, for example, there are so many people who, Kennedys or, those kind of characters who might be considered leading towards benefits in society can also be
Yeah, I mean, you should
targeted.
probably live within a safe distance. That's how I would do it.
No, so I seem to be focusing on a lot of negative things.
Well, we're talking about
you want to shift to a lighter conversation, a bantery, witty.
Yeah, I might go to Spain.
Okay. Tell us more. What is it that you think would be?
I don't normally like to travel, but
Yes.
because I'm concerned that I won't be spending time programming.
Yes.
But I suppose I could program on the plane and
Yes.
in Spain as well with my laptop.
So Daniel, you enjoy traveling. What is it about traveling that you engages you or interests you?
I just like
And when you
seeing
went
new
to
things,
Yeah.
experiencing new things.
Yeah.
But so, why'd you want to go other than?
Yeah, I thought you said, this is how I understood it, that you do want to go because you think, I'm not going to program, so I might as well go. That was what I first thought. And then I realized, no, he's saying, if I go, I won't program. Then I'm thinking, then why would you go? What is it that interests you? Because clearly you have the choice.
Yeah. Well, I don't enjoy airplanes because they're uncomfortable and it's it's a lot of wasted time. So I don't know.
So there's no
what's
reason.
the yeah. So what would be the reason?
It would be like a change of environment. That's what
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gambling on.
Okay,
I'm gambling that the change of environment will have a positive effect on me.
Okay, and that would energize you?
Maybe.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I find that when I go and come back, I do get energized because I've recalibrated my mind and or even realized that home base is good base, So that's a perspective that I sometimes have.
You appreciate what you have.
You get to appreciate. I mean, I enjoy the places I go to and the people I meet, and it's it's different. So as much as I like routine and schedules, I also like breaking those routines and schedules because otherwise it could become monotonous. So those are some thoughts that I have.
Yeah. I suppose I also thought that, because I don't like traveling, then that would mean that, I could theoretically never go on a family vacation ever again. So then my thought is, then
What's
maybe
the concept of a family vacation? Because that is also...
just on a vacation, but with family members.
Yes, and the whole idea of a vacation is to have fun.
Yes.
And to break the monotony of everyday life.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people don't like...
And there are lots of people who don't choose to go on a vacation.
The idea of going on a vacation with their family would be a bad idea.
Yes. The stereotype is...
Oh, is that a stereotype?
There is a stereotype that, you're going to... It's like, Thanksgiving. People go,
yeah.
You're going to have family. Oh, my goodness. And, on the one side, it's so, high... It'll be so much fun. The family will get together and we'll catch up. And the other side is, and you'll have that,
Which is so
and then
funny.
family will
Because people recognize the truth and yet they still decide against it.
What? Yes.
People recognize the truth that they don't get along with these family members, yet they decide to go to these events anyway.
Yes.
To me, I find that interesting.
But do you not find the pleasure of getting together with family?
No. Most family members, I don't dislike family members. For the most part, we're not friends, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm friendly.
Yes.
I know you through some family lineage, but beyond that, we don't socialize. We're not friends. It's a very artificial engagement.
But do you always have to have a close interaction? Do you have to have a lifelong relationship with someone to enjoy their company? I mean, there are people that you meet once or twice and you think that was such a pleasant interaction and that was good.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need to stretch things out. I have found on the flip side that that the mistake that people make when they do socialize in that way is that they don't realize the boundaries, or they make it stretch out too long. Because even people that you really like to be with, friends or family members, you can get on each other's nerves. Similarly, I feel sometimes my own thoughts get on my nerves. When I think, okay, come on, Anika, go to sleep now, because whatever you're thinking is irritating you now.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's hard for me to get engaged in a conversation. Well, one...
But at least on a vacation, you're not necessarily... You don't have to engage with the person. You're in a new environment.
Right, I'm just talking about just social interactions. Like, one, I've noticed that I find many people, like, boring. And...
But so why Spain? What entices you about Spain?
Nothing in particular. It's a gamble. There's gonna be... I'm sure I'll dislike many of the logistical things. But, well, also...
Yes.
It's Salmikala.
Yes.
Who
you better say something on...
Who I don't find annoying.
Oh.
So I can't. I've been in their company.
Yes.
And I'm not annoyed. Same with like Afshikala and her home.
Yes.
I don't... I'm fine chilling out over there.
Yes.
And they're not annoying people.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That's good. It's good that you've got it on the air. Because Salmikala, she is a follower of this show.
Yeah. Well, if I found her annoying, I wouldn't go.
Yes, I guess. We would not be engaging in this conversation.
If I'm engaging in any sort of activity with another person,
yes,
understand that this was a well thought out decision. Well, I suppose I said I'm taking a gamble.
Yeah.
But
so
those are rare.
What if she acts up when we go visit her?
That's
what
what
do you think
I signed up for.
Prefer the most, traveling with family, with friends, or by yourself?
Or not at all.
Or not at all. Well, actually, that's not an option.
That's not an option.
Because we already know the answer.
Yeah. Probably with family, then by myself. But by family, I mean immediate, and that's it.
What about you?
Maybe cousins. That's it, though.
Daniel, what about you? What are your traveling preferences?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, I guess it really depends on where I'm going.
I have some friends I could travel with and some friends that I could not travel with. And depends on where you're going.
Yeah, I think I agree with Nabil.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll potentially be in Spain in December.
That sounds so... our whole conversation about you probably going to vacation in Spain sounds so tentative and so wrought with...
Are you going to bring WittyBantr there?
I think we should.
Yeah, probably. I can. This is a very mobile setup.
Yeah.
So
I think we should.
Yeah, that'd be cool with Salmikala.
Yeah. She can banter wittily.
Yeah. And what are some... Well, you will already be there, is that correct?
I am planning to go to England.
Oh, you'll go to England first.
And then I will get a flight to Spain. And what I like doing when I'm in Spain or when I'm in England or away from home or even sometimes at home. Last year, for example, we said, let's do a walking retreat. Basically, just spend a lot of time walking so that you get some activity, but also not necessarily walking to any particular place that, regimented walking. So in a general area where there's not a lot of rush or traffic, you do a lot of walking, you look at what's around you, you sit down and have a nice conversation, And then you make sure you have a couple of books with you or your Kindle with you, so that when you're getting on each other's nerves, you say, okay, I'm just going to now do my thing, either read or write or whatever I want to do. And so that's what I have come to enjoy when I'm with, any of my sisters, when I'm vacationing with them. And in Spain in particular, we do something like, every other day, go to some place which is farther away. What I think you might find very interesting is in Malaga is that it is surrounded by these castles, because it's got a history of,
Castles.
Yeah.
Empires.
Empires and mini empires, kingdoms and mini empires and all of that. And so we would do something like that. We would go to this historical monument, and then the food is so exquisite. I mean, that you would then sit and have a nice, drink. And
is it exquisite?
It is really exquisite. I'll give you an example of the.
If it's just tapas again, that's not going to cut it.
I'll tell you how one of the meals that I remember and really enjoy. It was shrimp cooked in boiling olive oil. And when this comes and
deep
it's got
fried shrimp.
no deep fried shrimp, but not covered with thing.
Okay.
And so it's got you've got your little things of tapas which you can dip in, and you have freshly made bread and some nice wine, and so this nice hot sizzling shrimp in the olive oil, which you can dip your bread in as well if you want to. And I forget the name of it. But that is an example. And then we went to this other place where they were making fresh pastries, different kind with
This is all in Malaga?
Yeah, this was outside of Malaga in a place called, I forget, where was it? Not Nerja, but another place. So it's not the kind of food that you would eat normally over here that is familiar, but it's comfortingly unique and smaller portions, so that you're not really eating. And that's what I like about the tapa concept, is you're not stuffing yourself with food. You're just having nibbles here and there of
tapas,
of not just tapas but other kind of Spanish food, and also thing. And then of course we would eat at home as well, so it wasn't always eating out, but the day that you would go out somewhere, you would try something that you wouldn't make at home, for example.
I suppose my eating habits now would more match that, because my calories are well, as of recent they're not exactly reduced, but generally it's reduced. But when I visited earlier on, I remember me and Faisal were walking around. I guess we were in either Madrid or Barcelona.
You were in Madrid.
Okay. And we were just walking around and we're like, all right, let's go find something to eat. And it was just like only tapas places. So we ended up in a KFC. And we were just like, do these guys eat like and more than just a snack? Because we were hungry for like a proper meal.
Yes, but they do have proper meals as well.
I'm sure they do. We just couldn't find it for some reason.
Could be in the block.
The street we were
well.
yeah, maybe.
If someone walked around here and then went to Atherton.
If someone walked around here to a restaurant, so they'd be unhappy.
So so that, and then you're kind of the time is yours, and where there's not a lot of. What I also like is you're not in your familiar surrounding, and so even the TVs and you're not really into the American media system, and so that's a disconnect. Which
I'd barely watch it anyway. So
I know. So those are things that are interesting, and thinking about reflecting on the past and looking at. Here's what something. We didn't really take siestas. Pakistan, we needed to sleep in the afternoon, but I don't remember doing it in Spain when I was there in April. But the other thing that was interesting, which has just evaded me as I was thinking of the siestas in Pakistan.
The time is yours. There's no traditional media or U.S. media. I'm trying to say the words you said to remind you of the thing.
And yes. So, for example, you meet interesting people. Now, again, this is an example of meeting someone who's interesting that I didn't necessarily want to spend the rest of my life with, but
I hope not.
No, but you know what I mean. So we went to this really small town called, I think it was called Frigliano, and It was up on the top of the hill, and you could look out to the Mediterranean from there. And the restaurant that we had lunch in was really nice because we saw the view of the ocean from a distance and had very nice seafood and so on. But yeah, as we walked around these the small alleyways, they had plaques all over the place, kind of telling what they had done when they had made the Arabs leave, and how they had mistreated the Arabs. And so we were kind of looking at that. They had, I think, 12 or 15 plaques demonstrating the history of that. So it was interesting to see that. And then we stopped off at an art store, which is a very unique art store. They had things made, a lot of handmade crafts work and so on. And the woman that we met was from, now I'm going to forget the name of the place, but it borders Germany. Originally she was from
Switzerland?
No, not Switzerland. It wasn't the countries that...
Belgium.
No, not Belgium.
Latvia? That's
No,
not...
it was kind of... No, it was that kind of...
Luxembourg.
Romania, Bulgaria.
No. I forget the place. Anyway, so she had decided she had a son, and she had come on vacation to this place in Spain and decided, you know what? She loved it so much, she's going to live here forever. And the last 10 years she'd been living here, and that's how she had set up this art and craft store, and had said she does not look back on going back to the, her place of origin. Now, probably kind of like Jessie, she had something that gave her a reason of not wanting to return. It might have been family, it might have been... she had mentioned that she had had a divorce, and maybe it was that. I don't know.
Knew it.
What?
I said, knew it.
but just imagining that someone would do that, they would go on vacation, and there was a beautiful art and a craft store, and then just leave everything and decide that they would live in this new place forever. I would not do it myself, but I am fascinated by life choices that people make. And I think
farthest I'd go is like Oregon or Washington.
What?
The farthest I'd go to do that is
Why not Hawaii?
I can't do islands.
Why?
Really?
I just feel landlocked.
Claustrophobic?
I feel like I'm trapped.
Claustrophobic? Yeah.
One wave and we're all dead.
So you fear death?
You fear water?
No, I just...
The ocean.
I don't want to put myself in... Well, it's not even that. It's an irrational... It's not about dying. It's...
You like seeing...
I don't know. I just feel like everything would become very familiar. It'd be like if Redwood City was it, and then beyond Redwood City was just water. I'd be like, I need to like...
Well, no, so notice the difference in his response here.
What?
On the one hand, you're content.
I can't run away. There we go.
Okay, but so on one hand, you're content with Redwood City life.
Yeah, and
very
staying
content.
here.
You're extremely content.
Yeah, it's
So,
fine.
but
Traffic sucks, but that's okay.
But Redwood City doesn't suck that much.
I mean, Bay Area,
yeah.
Peninsula.
Yeah. But then but what's interesting is now you're afraid that
You'd be
if you-
stuck.
Yes.
Yeah, because you want an escape route. It's like, if anything, if I was in a building and, there's only one way out and there's just a bunch of people there
Yeah.
and there's no other way out, I'd be like, I don't like this.
But then that elevator was like paradise and had
What else?
very...
What will you
I'm
do?
referring to Hawaii.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So what about you? Do you have a similar feeling about space?
I get what you're saying. Like, you want to be able to...
Not,
You
I
want
don't,
the
I don't
the
even
choice.
travel, but yeah, I
Yeah.
want to know that if I need to escape for
That's-
whatever
that's-
reason,
Yeah.
that I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
escape.
Yes.
That's why I don't think I would ever... Well, maybe I would.
No,
Retire in Hawaii.
why do you use the word escape?
If there's the only time I'd run away is if I felt I was in danger of
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
So if I was in danger of something, if there was nuclear missiles heading our direction,
Yeah.
if
Which
I'm
there
on
have
Hawaii,
There's been the bomb scare, but that was...
okay, well, if I was
decoy,
on
right?
Hawaii, I'd be like, oh, guess I'm dead. Whereas here, I could be like, at least I can
there's
get
a
in my
big
car,
tsunami. Yeah, time to drive.
just step on it, go somewhere else.
Step on and they get stuck in
Spain.
traffic. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Alaska.
What about
Canada.
Alaska?
Yeah,
That-
I would.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I realize weather matters a lot to me.
So I lived
a
In
lot.
New
And
Jersey-
utilities you mentioned.
And utilities, yeah.
Yeah, I lived in New Jersey where it was snowy, and I didn't mind it too much actually.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't go outside that much anyway, so it's just a nice backdrop in my window.
What about New York when we had to like just to get something across the street, like we wanted to get like drinks or something,
Okay.
and like I think I just had
You couldn't
I had
cross the
jeans
street?
and I had like a sweater, and everyone else was layering up, and then I was like freezing just to go across.
No,
the
why
street.
did you not put
Oh.
a jacket on?
I should have put on more. Well, it was more of I had a jacket on, but like I didn't have layers of jackets on and like
well, for me, even
thermal undies.
when I go outside, I change into my outdoor sweats. So like, there's already a process of me changing clothes.
Right,
So
right.
that stuff like didn't matter to me.
Then what makes you do that?
Cause I don't want to wear. I wear sweats a lot because it's just easy,
Yeah.
and I don't want to wear the same pair of sweats that have been touching like outside public things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my bed. I want clean, untouched sweats. It's like if you had clothes on and you just came back from the airport and you were on a subway, if you jump on, you don't want to jump on your bed and all those clothes, right? You don't get a sense of like,
Okay,
there's a lot of
now
germs.
you're making me feel paranoid.
What?
I did not used to think about
Germaphobe?
it. Yes. No, but now I'm thinking about, yeah.
But you-
I mean,
yeah.
there are things which make me feel germaphobe.
Yeah.
But I try not to think too much about it, because if you do, then that I feel that those
Like your
thoughts
cell
are very
phone is
Yeah.
restrictive.
gross.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of germs on there. We never clean it.
but I mean, that's just my germs and then in my pocket, right? What other germs are there? It's just me touching. It's whatever I've been touching too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
if
on
I'm
your
at
face,
home-
anything that's been on your face is on your.
I'm fine with my face.
Well, your face has been outside though.
But
And then
nobody's
that
touched
collects.
it.
Yeah,
on
but
the-
nobody's like, I haven't put my face against some subway seat,
Yeah.
something that could potentially have. It's
That's
the weird. I don't want the weird unknown germs. I'm okay with like the regular.
Okay, now I
regular
have never
children.
really thought about public transport and the germs on it. I've tried not to.
Oh, I also tip I learned was
I definitely-
on the airplanes.
Yes.
Definitely get wet ones and wipe the.
wet ones.
Wet
wipes?
Yes.
Well, they're called.
They're
the
called wet ones.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
wipe down the
Wet ones. I've never heard
yeah.
that before.
the tray, because they never clean that.
Clean what?
The
The
tray
tray.
that comes down where you eat your food on
Oh,
top of.
yeah,
they don't have
well,
time to
There's
clean
a lot
all
of
that.
stuff. Hotel stuff. I mean, don't even.
And
get me
also,
started.
if you order
the sheets that
coffee
you
or
think are
water-
clean sometimes. What?
oh, if you order coffee or water, they only clean that tube that
Oh yeah, I heard
only
this
once a
recently.
year.
So don't order water-based products
or coffee, like have sealed drinks if you're
Yeah.
a germaphobe.
on an airplane.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a bit of a germaphobe.
But honestly,
but I try not to think about it.
you survived up until this point, so clearly it's not a problem.
Although sometimes you might get sick, right? And you
You
don't
know,
even
that's
know where
true.
it comes from.
Have you ever gotten sick from traveling?
No.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
I don't know.
I got sick
I-
on a plane to China or some
That was
Asian
motion.
country. But I don't know what that was from. I think you remember. We were on Cathay Pacific, and
Mm.
I remember
it was
that.
not a good time. But I don't remember what that was from.
I think you were eating too much.
Yeah, it must have been something
All the
because we were
noodles.
on the flight barely for.
Yes.
We just
yes.
left San Francisco, so it's
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
had barely been outside,
Yes,
so
yeah.
that must
Yeah.
have been myself.
Yeah, getting sick is 2 weeks ago, I think,
I haven't gotten sick
Uh,
in a long time.
and that was like,
Were you sick?
yeah, that was after you got sick.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah,
you had a
gave
cold.
him the cold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
only one
painful,
day. I
Not
was
being
sick.
able to breathe and
Yes, but
take
you
it for granted.
survived.
I did.
Yes. So you
Mm.
should stay healthy.
So yeah, wet
and
ones, and don't order water or coffee. I
Don't
guess.
travel.
Or
Just
just
stay
don't travel.
indoors.
Yeah,
Don't
that's the best one.
There you go.
All right, well, we are at 5:03, so I mean we made up for the
Lost
the late
time.
flight.
2 minutes left.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
1 minute left. All right, well, if that's all, then
Happy travels to
thanks.
anyone who's traveling.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
thanks for
Merry
tuning in.
Christmas.
And
Okay.
until next time, toodaloo.
Woo.